Hey fellas, it's the commissioner's fiance coming at you with a little action, NFL action. Just messed up my hair because I'm not used to looking at myself in the camera.
What are you doing?
Oh my
You moved
gosh.
the microphone. The microphone.
Oh.
You can't even.
Hey fellas.
All right.
No, we gotta start over.
No.
We gotta start
No.
over.
No. We don't start
I can't
over.
do
No,
this.
we don't start over.
do this.
No. Come on.
This is embarrassing.
Let's go. Jeez.
Let's start over.
No. It's one take. It's
I
always
didn't
one
even think I
take.
pushed record.
Yep, you did. Hey fellas, your commissioner here, coming at you for a little week 12. Week 12 of NFL action. Start off here as we traditionally do. The Hogs whomped Ole Miss, crushed the pathetic little Rebellion, 42-27. Got to experience that game on the big screen, Erica's cell phone, as we were in St. Louis this last weekend for a Friendsgiving. I had a couple little pieces of collard greens for the first time. That was exciting. Tasted pretty good. I had some really good mac and cheese. I had a chicken wing, like the actual,
Fried chicken wing.
like a fried chicken wing with like the wing and that, like the real wing,
Winglets.
like
Winglets.
the winglets, for the first time ever. That was pretty good, and yeah, so it was a good time. We got some St. Louis barbecue. Went to the aquarium. Got the dead skin eaten off our hands by some doctor fish. Got to touch some jellyfish, some stingrays. It was a good time. It's a good time. So, good weekend. Quick weekend. Had Culver's for the first time. That's pretty good. So, yeah. Pretty much everything went great except for fantasy. Sick for fantasy. Your old commish, I think for maybe the second time this season, went 0-6 in all of his leagues. So, that was really fun. The second lowest point scorer on the week. It was nice this week that everybody who won scored over 100 points. The top 6 scorers in the league all won this week. It hasn't happened very often, but basically all 6 losers were sub 100. All 6 winners were plus 100. So that was cool. That was good. I'm happy for you guys. I'm happy. So we'll start off here with the recap of last week's games. We'll start off with the game of the week. What was it? What was it, Erica? You were in the video last week. You said you watched whenever.
Nick and Rick were the game of the week. And
Smarties.
Oh yeah, because you ate all of them.
Nick and Duncan.
I said that.
You said Nick and Rip.
Oh shoot, sorry, Duncan.
Nick and Duncan. The closest game of the week. So lived up to that billing. A little underwhelming. As you can see here, got the USA Jersey World Cup. Got a result on Monday. Should have won, but we didn't. A result is a result. It's better than 0. Anyways, yeah, Nick wins 102-96. Joe Mixon got concussed relatively early in the game. Knocked him out. James Conner had a decent game. 13 points on Monday night. Not quite enough to get it done to get the W for Duncan. Busts up his little win streak he was on. Not a great week for Nick. T. Higgins went off. Great game for him. And Zeke had 2 touchdowns in his return as well. So, the 2 guys that Nick traded for a few weeks ago essentially won him this week, because without him, I don't know that Nick would have been as fortunate as he was to win this game. and keep his very slim but still existent playoff hopes alive. He's 5-6. Duncan's also now 5-6, scratching and clawing for that last playoff spot. Next here we got the Cooter Gang finally gets a win for the first time in almost a month against I Hate Football. Wins 129 to 80.6. Great game for JD. I mean, the third highest point total on the week. Burrow got Burrow back this week from a bye and dominant. He's been dominant the last month or so. Pretty much every game he's played. Najee has his best game of the season, 2 touchdowns. JT has a good game, 16 points. Greg Kittle gets 2 touchdowns. I mean, his wide receivers didn't do anything, none of them in double digits. But, I had a decent game from Herbert, 24 points. Swift got a pity touchdown, and Patterson Cordero got a return touchdown. But Thielen did nothing. Collins was mediocre. Saronic, nothing. Freiermuth had a good game, but, of course, McKinnon's been averaging like 9 points a game for like the last month, and I play him, and he gets 1.4 points. It is what it is. I mean, this team sucks, and it's probably the favorite for the horse ass, to be quite honest with you. So, JD with Burrow and Najee and JT and Kittle, and he's Hollywood's coming back, and he's got Mostert and Rachaad White. I mean, JD's team is fine. I mean, his team is fine. I really think that he could get hot here to end the year. I don't foresee him getting horse ass unless Joe Burrow or somebody else goes down again. So, it's not like I have anybody coming back. Cup's not coming back. The Rams won't win a game the rest of the year. So, anyway, next here we got the Swamp Donkeys and Shade Dynasty. Shade crushed Blaine this week. Ought to be embarrassed by himself, Blaine, to suffer this type of beatdown to a rookie. Just absolutely nothing going for him. I mean, he did have he only had ETN on bye. He didn't have the courage to put in Keenan Allen. But I mean, D Shade's team dropped nukes, 165. Dak Prescott, 25 points. Tony Pollard, oh my gosh, man, is this guy good? 37 points. Amari Cooper, 31 points. Kelsey had 3 touchdowns, 35 points. I mean, anytime you got 3 players that combined for over 100 points, you got a pretty good shot of winning that week. You got a pretty good shot of winning. So if you lose, you might need to reevaluate your life choices. But, Blaine's going to be okay. Barkley's had a rough go of it the last few weeks. Same with Josh Allen. But, he has Keenan now back healthy, it looks like. He's got St. Brown. He's got Hopkins. He's got Eckler, Barkley, ETN. Really the only question mark here is at tight end. He doesn't have a tight end. Pitts, inconsistent that he was at least doing something most weeks. Now he's on the IR, probably out for the year. So I'll be curious to see what Blaine does there, trying to pick from the scraps and just kind of get lucky at the tight end. But I think he's got enough talent everywhere else on his roster. He can kind of make up for that deficit, because everybody struggles at tight end. Everybody struggles. But, Blaine's still fine. I mean, he's 7-4, still in first place, I believe. Maybe falls into the second slot, tied for first with 2 other owners. But, D. Shade, I mean, huge win for him to win 2 in a row, get to 6-5. And kind of push himself further into that playoff picture, because really you're looking at probably about 4 teams really have a spot locked up between Rip, Blaine, Ford, and Wilson. And then you have Shade, Craig, Duncan, and Nick, maybe Savoy, really fighting for those last 2 spots. And really, it's anybody's guess who's going to get those last 2 or those top 2 seeds and get those buys. I mean, the top 4 teams are all 7-4. It really looked like maybe Rip and Blaine would kind of separate themselves from the pack, but that hasn't happened. I mean, there's a lot of parity in this league, and even as bad as JD's team has been, he's still he's not the lowest point scorer on the year. That would be who is that now? That's Plunk, but it's close. Savoy and I are right on his heels. Only 4 games back out of first place. Now we only have 3 games left in the regular season, but still anything could happen. So except for JD, he is going to be out of the playoffs. So next here we have a 2% shot of making the playoffs. Love that for myself. We have if you lose to me, you really suck in the cataclysmic catches. And don't look now. I mean, Savoy's caught fire. He's won 3 in a row. He's now 5-6, only 1 game out of the playoffs. He's not going to probably catch anybody in the points for tiebreaker. So it's tough to say he really controls his own destiny, because he could win out and still not make the playoffs. But I mean, hey, he's given himself a shot. And this is before he's got players coming back. I mean, he's got Watson will be back next week. Jameson Williams will probably be back next week for him in his first game. I think that Savoy can really has a chance to do some damage here. He doesn't start Christian Watson. Again, 2 touchdowns again from him. He's combined for 50 points the last 2 weeks on Savoy's bench. But he'll slot him in there, even if he comes back down to reality. I mean, Olave, Gabe Davis, Brandon Ayuk, and Christian Watson. I mean, that's a solid quartet.
Sorry, I'm cooking. I gotta eat. I'm hungry. I didn't eat lunch today. Let's get a nice view of this beautiful salmon. It's gotta go back into the oven. I sear it on the stove top, but that's a nice looking piece of salmon. You see that? And I'm gonna put it in the oven for a good
thing I have pants on. Whoops, that could have been a bad moment. Had to get that cut. It's a solid quartet of wide receivers. And, Jamal Williams, all he does is score touchdowns. He's this year's James Conner. I mean, I don't know that there's a better comparison of what he's done this year. He gets in the red zone, gets inside the 5-yard line, which Detroit's been doing a lot this year, surprisingly. And he just falls into the end zone. I mean, and that's what James Conner did last year, and that's what Jamal's doing this year. And Mariota continues to be serviceable. I mean, if you're getting 20 points out of your quarterback, it's gonna weather the storm for you. And Pierce has been a rough couple weeks, but and down week for Hawkinson too. But I mean, honestly, Savoy's got a really good team outside of quarterback, and with Watson coming back soon, that situation can remedy itself. So it wouldn't surprise me really if Savoy did make a late push, wins out, and maybe gets lucky and gets in the playoffs. But I'm certainly not expecting it. And then, it's been a rough little go here for Wilson after getting sole possession of first place in the league. He's now lost 2 in a row, back-to-back weeks below 100 points, back-to-back weeks with Mahomes scoring like plus 30-plus points and the rest of his team not really doing anything. Montgomery had a good game without Khalil in the mix, but Sanders kind of came back down to reality. Chubb's had a rough couple weeks. Mike Williams re-aggravated that ankle, left early. Gallup's not been good. Raymond's not been good. But, he had Mike Evans on bye. He finally doesn't start Robert Woods, and Robert Woods has his best game of the year, 13 points. So, and Mecole was hurt too. So, I don't know. Wilson's a mystery to me. I don't foresee him getting one of the first 2 seeds. I foresee him potentially the Cinderella run ending maybe an early exit from the playoffs, unfortunately. So, but hey, he's never made it. He's the only owner in the league who has never made, outside of D-Shade, who has never made the playoffs. So it would be a it's baby steps, right? It's a big accomplishment just to even make it into the playoffs. It's tough. I know 50% of the league makes it, but it's tough. So it's tough. Speaking from experience. Next here we got the Dirty Birds and Discount Double Check. Great bounce back game for Rip. Crushes an inferior opponent in Connor, 140-95. Of course, Plunk, this was the sanction game for him. He had to start the same lineup as he played 2 weeks ago against myself for starting Matthew Stafford whenever he was inactive. And actually, Stafford ended up scoring more points than Lamar Jackson did this week. So, but, it maybe even helped him setting this lineup, because I don't know that this is the lineup that he would have set if he had the option. And, it honestly was his best lineup outside of starting Andrews instead of Kmet. So, but anyways, I mean, he's now lost 3 in a row, 4-7, pretty much, myself, Connor and JD, we're pretty much all eliminated from the playoffs. We're both 4-7 and JD 3-8. Still a very slight chance of being able to make it in to the playoffs for Connor and myself. It would take winning out. I mean, we would have to win out and get extremely lucky, especially with the low point totals, the 2 lowest scoring teams in the league. It's not going to happen. Let's not kid ourselves here. I'm not going to win a game the rest of the season, let alone 3 in a row. So, and like I said, Rip, good bounce back game. He's, Derrick Henry, 26 points. Jalen Hurts, 26. Every single player was in double digits except for his tight end. Again, just like Blaine, that's his Achilles heel. Waller's on the IR, probably won't be back until fantasy playoff time. But he's been weathering the storm. He's got Latavius Murray too already on there, so he's now the number 1 running back. But between Henry, McCaffrey, Singletary, I mean, Murray is insurance. He put up 140 without Tyreek. So, yeah, I mean, Rip, I think, might regain number 1 in the power rankings this week. His team is looking pretty good, so Connor sucks. So, all right, that brings us to our dog shit team of the week. The frauds, the fraudsters, they're finally showing their true colors. It was only a matter of time between the hipsters and the hipster fraudsters. Craig doesn't contribute, 77.45 points. Russell Wilson against Vegas, the worst defense in the league against quarterbacks, only scores 13 points. Just abysmal. I mean, he's cracked 20 points twice all season. And other than that, it's been 15 or less. So, you can't win with that. He doesn't need to be on anybody's roster. He doesn't need to be started the rest of the year by anybody. Ramondre and Gibby had a pretty good game, 14 and 13 points. The Cowboys just beat the Vikings so bad. CD really didn't have to do much, and Jacoby couldn't get much going against Sauce and the DJ Reed, the vaunted Jets secondary. Paris Campbell, I mean, sneakily still having a great year. And Rondale Moore got a backwards lateral for -6 yards and hurt his groin and didn't play the rest of the game. So that really is what saved me from being the dog shit team this week. But, he didn't start Josh Palmer. He had 30 points on his bench. Didn't start Donovan Peoples-Jones, 17 points on his bench. If he started both of those guys, he would have won. I think would have been close. But for Ford, solid game, 115. I mean, not sexy, but that's the number you need to put up to give yourself a shot at winning. So, Danny Dimes had a great game against Detroit, 30 points. Not much from his running backs, Brian Robinson and Jaylen Warren, but really his wide receivers are what carried the day. 33 points from Devontae Adams, 15 points from Diggs, 18 points from Pickens, And McLaurin was able to get to almost 10 points as well. So, he should have Njoku coming back and getting healthier. Buffalo is a tough defense to come back against. Make two. He did this without Kenneth Walker, so Brian Robinson and Kenneth Walker should be fine to carry the load for him, and when Kyler should be back this week as well. So, I think Ford still has a decent chance. Hey, use that.
Do I boil the water first and then put it in?
Put the edamame in.
In here first.
Yes.
Okay.
And then fill it up with water to where it covers all of them. You don't need the lid.
Okay.
Okay, we're making edamame.
You usually make it.
Yeah.
And then I put salt in the water?
No. You just put it on 8. And then you boil it. Once it starts boiling, you need to stir it. And then you cook it for like 3 minutes. And then it's done. Okay. And then you drain it. So now, evenly sparse it out. And then go to the sink, fill it up with water. Till about just below the metal brackets. Okay. And then, like I said, put it on 8. And then once you see it start boiling, set a timer for 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to put just a little dash of salt.
Okay. I think Ford still has a realistic shot at maybe getting one of those top 2 seeds, but he certainly got his work cut out for him. But by all means, this is it's a locked and loaded playoff team, that's for sure. So, yes, and I was correct. Rip has a stranglehold, almost 100-point lead for the most points scored this season. So, pretty much a lock to. If him and Blaine hold serve against each other record-wise the rest of the season, he'll have that number 1 overall seed. So, all right, waiver wire pickups. What happened? Deadline. This is the last week that you can pick up free agents and have them be eligible to be kept next season. They have to be on your roster from this week to the end of the season. They cannot come off your roster at any time. If the player was drafted, they also cannot be a free agent keeper. So keep that in mind. What else? Yeah, just by the time the games start, they got to be on that player's games start this week. They got to be on your roster. So, actually a good little bit of activity. A lot of activity. Wow. So Russ was cut, Clyde was cut, Damian Williams cut, Chase Edmonds cut, Melvin Gordon cut in real life and in fantasy. Savoy's moved on from Marcus Mariota, picked up Jimmy G for 12 fab. Who are they playing this week? Playing the Saints? I don't know about that one. Cataclysmic Catches picked up Randall Cobb for 32 fab. Hey, can't take it with you. Might as well blow that money. Fat Bastards dropped 25 on Cam Akers. Dawson Knox, 16 for Rip, trying to chase that tight end dragon. He's had a decent last month or so. I mean, he's been solid, honestly, throughout the season. Averaging about 7 points, 8 points a game. You can live with that with the rest of his team as it is. Duncan picks up Derek Carr for 8 fab. What are you doing? Damn, Wilson, you dropping big stacks, huh? Must have got that Christmas bonus a little early. Demarcus Robinson for 26 fab. He had a good game last week, so he's the only wide receiver pretty much in town for them outside of Mark Andrews. And then Nick picked up J.K. Dobbins, so who knows when he's going to be coming back here, probably within the next couple weeks or so, but who knows what you're going to get out of him. It's a speculation ad. Oh, knowing Nick, it'll probably work out. All right, so let's go ahead here, get into a preview of this week's matchups. Oh gosh, dadgummit. Got the hiccups. Anytime I talk about Nick's team and Nick's players, at least once a season, it's like he sends this curse on me. All right, Insidious. Yeah, so I'm not editing the video this week, so that will not, this Insidious thing's not going to pop up. So
I wanted you to put Chef Boyardee when I showed my salmon. Chef Boyardee.
Well, I'm not editing the video. Nobody's going to watch it anyway because it's Thanksgiving break, so anyways, I mean, the biggest blowout on the docket. I told you guys it was free money, by the way, to take JD minus 10 or whatever he was, minus 12 whenever he set his lineup on Sunday morning. It was theft. I mean, it was the obvious line in the history of lines for him to blow me out the way that he did. I mean, and Rip is projected to do it even worse. I mean, 134 to 96. Like I said, with my roster as it is, I don't foresee myself being projected to score over 100 points the rest of the season. It's a pretty sad state of affairs from early on in the year when I was projected like 126 pretty regularly, or 120. So quite the fall from grace. I mean, it would be the upset of all upsets. It would require Rip's team to just half of his team to get hurt on Sunday for me to have a shot at winning. It's not going to happen. So, Rip in that one big. Next here, God, he was just in the game of the week though. Both of these guys were.
All right. So a timer for 3 minutes.
Yeah, turn it down a little bit.
You said 8.
Yeah, you put it on high.
You told me to.
That's not, high is not 8.
Yes, it is.
It's like 7 then. Stir it up. Here, get the little white thing over here. Chef Boyardee my ass.
I don't
Anyways, I guess that one has to be the game of the week. So next here we got the Cataclysmic Catches trying to break their losing streak against Kickers Lives Matter. Duncan is projected to win this one, 123 to 118. It looks like he probably won't have Judy. He doesn't want to take the chance with the Packer stack against the Phillies. And, Mike Williams, I don't know. If Mike Williams doesn't go, it's, you probably have to throw in Robert Woods, Bobby Trees. He's got some tough matchups. I think Wilson's going to go on a 3-game losing streak here. And I told you a couple weeks ago, there is a chance that Wilson could still miss the playoffs. It would take a miracle. I mean, it would take him pretty much losing out. But I like Duncan's team. I like him to get back to 600 or 500 this week, get to 6-6. And I think put Wilson on a 3-game losing streak. Next here, we got Swamp Donkeys and Dirty Birds. Just like Rip had a get-right game last week playing Plunk, Blaine now gets Plunk, get-right game for him as well. Josh Allen playing Detroit on Thursday, Thanksgiving. Money, easy money. He's going to have 50 points probably. Barkley should struggle, I think, a little bit against Dallas. Probably a little bit too high of a projection in my eyes. But Eckler will feast against Arizona. St. Brown, I don't know. Buffalo probably hold him in check a little bit. But Hopkins elite, Keenan elite. He's rocking with Trey McBride. A little scary there, but, we'll see. 49ers are tough against a tight end, and that's a tough matchup for any rookie. But 49ers were, yeah. So, and my name is Jeff. So I don't know why he's playing Jeff and not ETN against Baltimore. So it's interesting, very interesting. Yeah, it's going to be Blaine. It's going to be Blaine in that one, easy. Next here, you got Cooter Gain versus the Fat Bastards. Ford's projected to win this one, 130 to 114. This will be a real test for JD. I mean, he's just playing to be spoiler. I mean, this could, put a big dent in Ford's hopes and dreams to potentially get one of those top 2 seeds. I don't think he does it. I think Ford's kind of back at full strength here. Got his team fully locked and loaded, and I think he wins this one pretty handily against JD. So I think JD has a respectable game, but just not enough. Not enough in the tank. And then our penultimate matchup, you got Shades to Dynasty, and if you lose to me, you really suck. Shades projected to win this one 118 to 103. Savoy's still refusing to play Christian Watson. I know it's a tough matchup, a tough assignment against the Eagles, but the Eagles secondary has kind of not looked as great the last couple weeks. I mean, Pittman got loose against them. I can't remember who they played. Terry had a good game against them a couple of weeks ago as well. So I wouldn't be too terribly frightened by them. They've been looking a lot more human the last couple weeks versus, trotting out Zay Jones. But yeah, Jay's been solid all season when he's been healthy, so but Baltimore secondary is also much improved. So I don't know. I think this will be a close one, but ultimately I think that Deshae does have the better team, and I like him to come out ahead in that one. So all right, so that brings us to our game of the week.
I don't know, wait for this to cool down.
Our
Use this.
yeah.
Perfect timing. Okay.
Bear with me.
Just throw them in the pot? Or no?
Huh? Yeah, I usually do.
I never see you do this, so you're always hydraulic one.
Here.
I got it. Just chill. Why you gotta be so rude? Why?
Here. Well, you're too slow. I'm taping a video.
It'll be alright. Like you said, they don't watch this shit anyways. I'm still gonna eat this. It's in the case.
Hold on, fellas. This week's sponsor takes a little bit of prep.
Okay, that's good. I'll do the rest. Put your salt on it.
Move this.
Put the salt on it.
You gotta think.
Oh, hush.
There you go. All right, you gotta have. Okay. Our organic edamame game of the week: young soybeans and pods. The edamame, or young soybeans and pods, are rich in protein, fiber, and antioxidants. It's packed with nutrition. It's a healthy snack or a complement to any meal. These are actually distributed from Houston, but they are a product of China, of course. A little bit of fat in there, as most beans have. Only 140 calories per bag. It's pretty good. 60% fiber, no added sugars, good amount of protein in there as well. I discovered these on the cruise we went on earlier this year. Tried them. They're very, very good. Very, very good. Very healthy. Very nutritious. So anyway, yeah, the organic edamame, the official soybean of the Bring That Wood Fantasy Football League. Cheers.
Cheers. Wait. Cheers.
Yum.
That salt does it.
All right.
Alright.
So that is Razorback Revival. Back-to-back weeks is game of the week. Let's see if he can repeat his winning performance versus doesn't contribute. Doesn't contribute. Nick is projected to win this one 116 to 114. Battle of the quarterback. We got Justin Fields facing off against the Jets. And Tom Brady against Cleveland on the road. The Jets' solid secondary. I don't foresee Fields breaking maybe even 100 yards passing this game, as is tradition for him. But he should still have a good rushing floor at 20 points minimum from Fields. Thanks. Can I get some more salt?
Yeah. Just finish your video. Don't mind me. I'm in the background.
Well, it's just...
I'm just in the background. I'm not...
You're not just in the back. You're hard to ignore,
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, Brady, probably 20-point game coming from him, too. We'll push this one. Battle of the running back, you got Dalvin Cook and Zeke Elliott, both with pretty tough matchups versus Ramondre and Gibson. Now, Zeke did have a pretty good game against the Giants the first game they played against them this season. But, New England's been pretty solid against the run. And, it's primetime Kirk. So you're not going to get a very good game from the Vikings. So we'll go with Craig in that one. Battle of the wide receivers. You got A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins versus CeeDee Lamb, Jacoby Myers, and Chris Godwin. Go with Nick's wide receivers in that one. Battle of the tight end. Yuck. Foster Moreau versus Greg Dulcich. I don't know how Moreau is projected to score 9 points. It's baffling to me. And Dulcich is kind of, he had a good first 3 games and it's kind of been underwhelming since, but I don't know, push. Maybe Dulcich gets a slight edge, I guess. And then Battle of the Flex, you got Pittman and Campbell. We're going to go with Michael Pittman in that one as well. So, anyways, that's all I got. Overall, who's going to win? We're going to go with Nick. We're going to go with Nick in that one. So I think Craig's playoff hopes get put on life support a little bit this week. All right, so that's all I got this week, fellas. Of course, the Hogs lost to the Creighton refs, the Creighton Zebras last night. And Maui, top 10 matchup without our top 3 NBA draft pick, with the refs screwing us at every turn. Play San Diego State here late night at 9 o'clock. So, should win that one. Even if we don't, it's early. It's okay. This team's good. This team can go. Can go places. Can go a lot of places. So, Hogs are playing Missouri, 2:30 Black Friday. Should be a slaughter. Of course, the U.S. playing England at 1. A little bit of a time overlap there. I'm not a fan of that, but we'll make it work. That's why we got the 2 TV set up over here. Whoops, other shoulder. Yep, there it is. So, Thanksgiving tomorrow. Hopefully y'all eat a lot of good food. Enjoy time with your family if you're traveling. Travel safe. I'm thankful for all you guys. This league couldn't be what it is without all you guys. I love you guys. It's that time of the year where you get old sappy commish, even though my team's dog shit. And, hey, I don't love you guys when you're beating me, but, I do love you guys. So, appreciate all you guys' commitment and what the time and the effort that you put into this league. And, there's really nothing else to say other than we're big.